We are so happy to hear your so much stories. Now, I would love to uh, know why you prefer young readers over grown up people.
It's not that I prefer young readers more than grown ups. I like them all. What has happened is, as I told you, I didn't really want to become a writer in the sense, it was not my ambition to become a writer. I wanted to teach, and I was teaching in a college. You can call me an accidental writer. It started by because when my son was small, we used to get this magazine Tinkle, and I found that they were asking for writers to send to enter the competition, and I sent this entry, which is Butterfingers, and that is how it happened. It became children's literature. Had I seen a magazine for older people and they had asked for a story, I would have written for older people, and maybe I would have ventured into writing only for not only for older people, for older people. But since I started with this, and then again it continued in that way, then some children's magazines asked me to write for them. So somehow I got stuck in that. Then Tinkle asked me to create a character, as I was just telling your friend, and Butterfingers, I brought him back. Somehow I got, and I also love children. That's also why I write books for children. I enjoy being with them. And when I taught in a school for a couple of years before I went to teach in a college, and college students are just overgrown children. So being with children, being with students is something I really enjoy, and I think I can relate to them, understand how they think. I really the kind of the warmth that they have, the love that they show, the mischief that they are capable of. It's a nice combination, and I therefore enjoy writing for children. But I've also written for adults. A couple of books I have written, and I enjoy writing for them also. But what is common to all my writing is that it is humor driven. I use humor. So I can't say I love children, I adore children, but it's not exactly like I like children better than older people. I like writing for them. I've been enjoying writing for them, and I feel comfortable writing for them.
When was the time you, as an adult, discovered your love for children's literature?
See, you don't discover a love for children's literature in the sense you're growing up reading books. So, from the time I was small, I was always reading books. Reading was my passion, not writing. And when I grew up in a house with readers, my siblings, I'm the youngest of eight, all read books. And when you have so many older siblings, they are studying in different colleges, different classes. So they will be bringing books. We couldn't afford to buy books like that. So we would borrow from the libraries, borrow from friends. And so when you are small, you're reading children's literature. You're enjoying children's literature. In those days, there was nothing like young adult literature. So we were not exactly told what to read. And we were, unlike y'all who have so many distractions, you have so many other outlets. For us, it was only two things. Entertainment was reading books or playing actual games outside. So these were the two things that we used to do all the time. So you're growing up reading and enjoying children's literature. And we read widely. All Enid Blyton, William books, P.T. Woodhouse school stories, Angela Brazil. There were so many other writers. Then we started reading the classics. You're growing up, but you continue to read. We read the abridged uh, classics. We didn't read them the original, they're huge. So we read, there used to be something called Classics Illustrated. So in comic form, we have all these classics like Jane Eyre, Charles Dickens's books, and R.L. Stevenson. Very nice. So what happened is we are getting introduced to great books. And that introduction makes you want to go as you grow older to the original. And but at the same time, since you have enjoyed children's literature so much, it doesn't leave your mind. Even now, when I read a children's book, it makes me feel very happy because a children's book gives a kind of a joy that all adult books will not give you. Adult books they stimulate a lot of other emotions in you. Not that children's books don't, but in general, there's a joy when you read children's books that it is very special. So that is probably why, I really enjoy children's literature even now.
I'd like to hear from you what skills, habits, and practices shall be followed by a writer to achieve literary success.
As I was telling earlier, in order to write well, you should have a strong foundation of reading. Uh, Writing can happen as a superstructure over reading. So you need to be a very good reader, a reader who reads widely, a reader who enjoys reading all kinds of books before you can think of writing seriously. What I mean is, think of writing to get published. But otherwise, what you need to do to become a writer is by reading. What happens is, that is one of the main hints about writing, because when you read, you get exposed to different kinds of books, to different approaches, different points of view. Different writers use different styles. You understand? The way they use the language, the way they manipulate language, how you are going to use language, all that is made, is honed when you read widely. You don't understand, you don't realize the kind of process that is happening in your brain. Everything we read goes and stays somewhere there. And when you start writing, so when you want to write, so that is what reading does to you. It is improving a lot of your skills unconsciously. So when you have a passion for writing and when you start writing, all these skills that you have developed through your reading get channelized and you are able to write well. You understand? So my first advice to you would be to keep reading, not stop reading because you're going to be a writer. It's very difficult. Once you become a writer, to find time to read is very difficult. You have to steal time to read, but you have to keep reading. And you also you must have a good imagination. You must have a creative imagination. You must be the kind of person who can think up new ideas. You must, because we are all basically storytellers. Storytelling is inherent in us. We have always liked listening to stories, telling stories, right? Even tall stories. When you come late to class, you'll make up a story immediately. So we are very creative actually. And that creativity will be triggered by what you read too. Your imagination will get better. You must learn to imagine. And imagination means also thinking of different ways of doing things and so on. And you must also be very observant. All right? Very observant. You must watch people. You must watch how people behave. Not just people, animals, everything, the environment. So you must have a great sense of curiosity. Curiosity about the world we live in, about the people we meet, about the people we don't meet, about everybody. The curiosity should be a positive curiosity, not the curiosity that is going to make you critical, that is making you feel unhappy about how a person is behaving, say rather rude things about people, not that kind of a thing. A healthy curiosity. It mustn't be an unhealthy curiosity. A healthy curiosity about the people we meet. Not that everybody you meet is a good person, but you're learning from all kinds of people, right? How they are. So all this makes you understand people better. And when you are writing, you create different types of characters. Unconsciously, you may be picking from here and there and here and there. It's not all your imagination. See, your friend Charu has written that book. So the characters that she has created, they may be supposedly figments of her imagination. But when I'm reading that, I realize when she talks about the mother and father of the main characters, some of Those characteristics must be her parents' characteristics. You understand? So you're not conscious, but you do that. So these are the things that you can do to improve your writing. Plus, keep writing. It's hard work. Persistence is important. Perseverance is important. You must not be unhappy with if somebody tells you your writing isn't particularly great. You must be able to take criticism well, because every time somebody criticizes you, it is they have found something that can be improved in your book, right? So don't be annoyed with them, because what we are writing is not perfect. So we want to write better and better. So you have to ask other people to read your work. Don't make it a very secret thing. If it's a secret thing, you write a diary and keep it. But if you want to write for others to read, then you must share it with others. Let them tell you how it is. Show your teachers, show your friends. Not everybody, some chosen responsible people. Don't take many copies and give it to everybody. All of you read and tell me how it is. But you just. So when you do all that, your writing skills will keep improving. And I would also like you to try and write different kinds of genre. You might think you're very good at writing a short story, but actually you may be good at writing poems. You may be good at writing articles. Maybe you will be best at writing a novel. You get me? So try your hand at different things. And then you will find out what exactly you are most comfortable writing. Okay? So all the best if you want to become a writer. And don't think of getting yourself published at a very young age. Unless you are really, you know that there is a certain standard and people who have read it say it is good enough to be published. Otherwise, as you grow older, you will write better and better, and then publishers will take your book.
I'm here to ask you a question. Who inspired you to write stories?
Who inspired me to write stories? Nobody inspired me.
So you just wrote stories you like?
It just happened. And because I love reading, when I wanted to write, I just wrote. So there's nothing like I wanted to be like a particular writer. I wanted to write like a particular writer. Nothing like that. So there's nothing like direct influence on me. But you can say there are indirect influences in my writing. Because as I told you, I've been writing humorous books. So humor is my strength or my weakness. And I love reading humorous writers who write humorous works. So maybe those writers, like this Jerome K. Jerome I was talking about, P.G. Wodehouse, Bill Bryson, and a lot of other writers who are not exactly humorous in the sense that their writing is humorous from the beginning to the end, but in their writing there is also humor. So you enjoy writing that, and all those writers like Marquez, he's not a humorous writer, but then you do find something that's extremely interesting, and sometimes you smile when you read something. There is this very serious writer called Rohinton Mistry, but there is a lot of humor in the way he presents things. So, like that, you find writers writing, bringing in humor, and you enjoy that.
Ma'am, who is your favorite author?
My favorite author is, I have many favorite authors, but my most favorite author is P.G. Wodehouse.
What did you understand by her stories?
What did I understand by his stories? Is his stories are very farcical, they're very humorous. They bring back the early 20th century to life. And he creates a world which is very cheerful, which is very, there's a lot of humor in the situations that he creates. Humorous characters that he creates. And I realized that you can generate humor by by writing about situations that are almost farcical, all right, and by having characters which that have certain specific characteristics. He plays on them, like Bertie Wooster, Jeeves, and so on. Yeah.
I was wondering, I'm writing a book and can you help me? I'm kind of stuck.
You're stuck on what to write next. Well, that is something that every writer faces. You get stuck somewhere and you don't know what to do. So there is a word for that, what they call writer's block. Have you heard of that phrase? Writer's block. That is when you're not able to proceed further because something has stopped you from writing. Somehow, suddenly, your imagination stops working. You don't know, the story isn't progressing. I think what you ought to do at such a time is don't worry about it. Don't, if you worry, then it will only get worse. You stop thinking about your story for some time. You're stuck somewhere, right? You're not able to progress.
Yeah.
You're not able to proceed further. You stop, you calm yourself, you read something else.
Okay.
You read some other book, you talk to your friends, and try to make your mind fresh.
Okay.
Because that's what has happened. You got so stressed out writing, and then you got stuck at some point, and you're not able to progress because you're going on worrying about what to write, how to write, and so on. That's not helping you in any way. So, what you need to do is to give yourself a break. And after that, you get back to the book, read the story again, and you will be inspired. And then you will look at your story with fresh eyes. And by then, you would have already just read here and there, here and there. Your mind is now getting fresh. And you will see something new. And you will think, okay, now I can take the story in this direction. Maybe I can make the character do this. You understand? So, write without that feeling of urgency.
Okay.
Write in a very calm way. Give yourself time, and I'm sure you will find a solution to your problem.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And all the best.
Who's your favorite character in Butterfingers and why?
My favorite character in Butterfingers. Actually, I like all of them. Naturally, I like Butterfingers because he's the main character, and I named him after my son, Amar. But my son does not have all the characteristics of Amar, of the fictitious Amar. I just gave him the name. And the names of all Amar's friends are the names of my son's friends. But they don't behave like the characters I have created. I just wanted to give my son and his friends a place in my book. So he's naturally a favorite character because I like children who are like this, who are, who are lively, who are intelligent. At the same time, they want to do a lot of things. They are not the goody two shoes or goody goody type of children who are always studying, not nerdy. At the same time, involved in a lot of things. But among them, there is this character called Kishore. I was talking about him, the boy who loves to read, whose reading skills are higher than the reading skills of his friends because he's in class 8, but he's familiar with Shakespeare and all the great poets and the current literature. So I created him. Thankfully, I created him in the first book itself because I wanted a character through whom I can channelize my love for literature. Because imagine 8th standard boy, suddenly I make a boy like Shakespeare, know something about Shakespeare. You'll ask, how can that happen? But when you have already created a character who is already there in the earlier books, who has high reading skills, it is easy. So he will use phrases that the others are not familiar with. In Gold Butterfingers, he is trying his hand at learning Latin, and you will think this is not what a normal 8th standard child would do. But you can have different types of children, right? Some of them with very high reading skills, some with no reading skills at all. So that way I like Kishore. I also have a great affection for the principal in the school, Mr. Jagmohan, because this principal has a tough time dealing with his children. They're always giving him trouble, right? At the same time, he likes them because he knows they are well intentioned. So I get a lot of fun creating Mr. Jagmohan and making him involved in many things. In this comic, I make him run a race. Imagine your principal running a marathon race. So I try to put him in those situations, and I really enjoy writing about him. In fact, I enjoy writing about all these characters, but if these could be my favorite characters in Butterfingers.
What's the most favorite and the famous book you've ever wrote? and why it is the most favorite and the famous book?
House at Butterfingers is extremely famous. Okay, that's my first book, and I have a special place in my heart for House at Butterfingers. But the third book, Clean Bowl Butterfingers, that I was talking about, where you have Amar and his friends, Amar actually creating a new game called Crack It. That book is special for me because I was asked by the publishers to write another book on cricket. I wanted to write on tennis. See, my first book was on cricket, second on football. So the third one, I like tennis very much. I wanted to write on tennis. But they said, no, we want another book on cricket. So that was very challenging for me because I've already written House at Butterfingers with the same characters, same background. If it's a different, if it's set in some other place and different characters, I can make another story. But this is the same group, right? So for me to think of a story which is completely different from House at Butterfingers was a challenge. And I managed it. It's a total fun book. You'll enjoy reading it. And I was very happy with that. But right now, it's a tricky question she's asked. I like Lizard of Oz very much because it's about little creatures. I'm writing about little creatures who we consider pests: mosquito, lizard, termite, rat. These are all creatures that we consider pests. But I made them pets, not pets exactly, heroes, the pages of my story, because my idea is to tell children that all of them have a place in this world. Okay, so that's one of my favorite books. Among Butterfingers, Smash It Butterfingers is my favorite, and it is done very well too. It was shortlisted for the Sahitya Academy Award. It was there in the top 10 books of 2022, the Times list, and so on. But it is not the awards and that kind of thing that matters, but I'm creatively satisfied. That's what you need. When you read a book, you're happy with the way it has come out, because that's a book where I'm trying to get children not to be superstitious. It's a book which deals with superstition because there's a man who does not want children to be superstitious. So he arranges, it's a badminton based book. He arranges a badminton match between, that is to be played by 13-year-old students. All right. And it is on Friday the 13th. The prize money is 1,30,000. So everywhere you have 13, 13, and all these unlucky things happening. But he wants them to understand that nothing bad is going to happen on that day. It's only in our heads. And that all superstitions have started off as some belief which is based on some realistic fear. If you walk under a ladder, they say it's bad luck. Long back, not long back, even now, if somebody is standing with a pot of paint on top and you walk under, it could fall on your head. So that is why they say don't walk under the ladder. It will fall on your head. Don't spill salt. It's bad luck, they say. It's not exactly bad luck. Salt earlier was very expensive. And salary, the word comes from sal, that is salt. They used to pay people in salt. So if you spill salt, you're spilling something that is very expensive, right? Very costly. So don't spill salt. Will you spill gold here and there and walk away? It's very, so that is how they looked at it. But now you've forgotten all that. Salt is inexpensive. So they say don't spill salt, it's bad luck. So that is, I want children to understand that. And ultimately, you know what the prize is? 1,30,000. But the prize is to be used for buying books. Because the idea is only reading books will make you get your mind rid of superstitions. All right? That is what will broaden your mind. So that way, I like Smash It very much.
I want to ask you, when did you started writing stories?
I used to write on and off. I have written stories for magazines, college magazine. I used to write stories for All India Radio. And they ask you can narrate stories. From college, they used to ask me to write stories. But if you want to know when I officially started writing, that would be that competition where I entered this Butterfingers where I submitted Butterfingers as an entry. That is when I started writing. Yeah. And after that, I was also teaching. I really don't have that kind of time to devote to writing. So it was something like a my secret, my hobby. Not many people knew about it. I was doing it not very regularly. So that was how I started writing. And then one thing led to the other. And Tinkle asked me to write Butterfingers. And then I submitted all the stories to Penguin. They wanted me to write a novel. So from there it started. So my first book came out in 2010. So it's very late actually, because I was happily teaching. But it so happened that one thing led to the other. My first story, it came long. The first story that I wrote was Butterfingers. It came in 1996, which for you is a long time back. You can't even believe there was a time like 1996. So that is when I started writing officially, professionally, you can say. And my first book also came out in 2010. 96, 2006, 10 years later, Tinkle asked me to create its character. All right. And then after that, in 2010, the books started coming. So from 2010 to 2024, 16 books have come out. So that's how my writing career has been progressing.
Which age?
That I think I shouldn't be. I started writing at 40. Yeah. So then it's going on like that.
At what age did you start reading books? And what all kind of books are you interested in?
I've started going to school only in the second standard. That will make me 6 years old, 7 years old, 6 to 7. And I did not go to the first standard. I did that schooling at home and I went to second standard. And that is where we have a library and I started reading. But at home, I told you that we all like to read. So there are books in the house. But actual reading and enjoying started maybe when I was 7 years old, 8 years old with small books. Then you read those naughty books, bedtime stories, and then you go on reading. So that is when and it continued to this day. Once you start reading, you can't stop reading. That's how it is. It's like becomes a passion. It's a habit which you cannot break out of, and you keep on reading always. What's the second part of your question?
What all kind of books do you read?
What kind of books do you read? I read all kinds of books, but my special liking is for books which have humor in them. Otherwise, I read all kinds. As I was telling earlier, you have to read all types of books. So I read fiction, I read some non-fiction also. I read comics, I read short stories, I read articles, essays. So everything you read widely. But if you want to ask me what are the books you specifically enjoy, I would say I enjoy books which have more of humor in them.
Could you please tell us about a book that you loved as a child and you revisit it even today?
A book that I read when I was a child and that I revisit. There are lots of books like that. But if you want me to specify one book I will tell you which I don't revisit, but which I read a lot. It's just a story. It's a story that is titled Dick Whittington. I don't know whether you've heard of the story. Dick Whittington, who has a cat, and he's got only one possession, that's a cat, and he takes the cat to London, and he seems to imagine that the church bells are ringing, saying, Dick Whittington, Lord Mayor of London, and how he becomes the Lord Mayor. It's a small story, but somehow when I was just beginning to learn to read, I read that story. And I liked it very much, and I used to read it frequently. So my sisters used to tease me, asking me, are you going to read it 100 times? So I said, oh, let me read it 100 times. And I actually counted while I was reading, and I read it 100 times. But a book that I really enjoyed, that was in the 7th standard. We had an excerpt from a book, and that excerpt was titled Uncle Podger Hangs a Picture. And I saw that book excerpt is from a longer book, which is Three Men in a Boat. Have you heard of that book? Three Men in a Boat by Jerome K. Jerome. It's an extremely funny book. It is about three men and a dog that they take in a boat and they have a lot of fun. So because I got interested in that lesson and I enjoyed that excerpt, I went to the main book from which that was taken. And I really enjoyed Three Men in a Boat, and I read it a couple of times, and I do revisit it. So I have this collection of Jerome K. Jerome's two books like this: Three Men in a Boat and Three Men on the Bummen. That is where they go through the Black Forest in Germany. A very funny, extremely enjoyable, and I really liked it. And there are lots of other books that I enjoyed and revisit. So it's very difficult for me to pick one. So I thought I will pick the one which I really enjoyed in the seventh standard and which older people also can read.
It was a great pleasure to hear stories from you. And now I would love to know, why do you prefer young readers over adults?
Actually, this name Butterfingers, it is not my invention. I didn't coin this because this word existed in the English language, has been existing from, I think, 1675 or something. In the 17th century, there was this writer called Gervase Markham. He wrote a book titled The English Housewife, where he's talking about the qualities of an English housewife. So, among the qualities that he mentions, he says a housewife, a perfect English housewife, must be well dressed, must smell good, must be able to cook well, must be a good housekeeper, must keep the house clean, and he also says she must not be butterfingered. All right. So that's the first time in the English language the word butterfingered was used, and he used it meaning the same. The meaning is the same as it means now. See, there are some words which were used long back which have undergone a change in meaning. But some words have remained the same. The meaning remains the same. So butterfingers at that time also meant someone who drops things, who is clumsy, and that was the first use of the word butterfingers. But it didn't. He didn't use butterfingers. He said butterfingered. And later on, Charles Dickens used the same word when he is describing a cricket match in Pickwick Papers. When someone drops a catch, it is butterfingers. I think even now, when you're watching cricket, you see on the scoreboard, electronic scoreboard, when somebody drops a catch, butterfingers. And then I'll say, oh, copyright. It's my creation. So that is how this word came into being. But why I used it is because in my house, I'm the youngest of 8. We read a lot. And we are very familiar with this word, butterfingers. And when somebody drops something, you call that person butterfingers. And so I grew up hearing this word. Now, when there was this competition for adult writers of fiction, I thought of sending an entry. And I wanted to write a humorous book, story, because I thought that there aren't too many funny stories, and I like humor very much. So that I'll write a humorous story. Second, I wanted to write a sports based story, a cricket story, because that also you don't find too many in fiction. In children's fiction, I don't think, and even adult fiction, you don't find too many sports based stories. And since I love sports, that I'll have a sports based story. So there is sports, there is humor. How do I bring the two together? By putting a butterfingers on the cricket field. So that is how I thought, let me have a character. Let me create a character whose nickname is Butterfingers. In which case, on the cricket field and off the cricket field, he can generate humor through his clumsy ways, by dropping a catch, by banging into fielders, by in general causing chaos and so on. So that is how I created this character, Butterfingers. Somehow that character remained in my head. After that, I wrote many other stories with different names for people. But when Tinkle asked me to create a regular character, this Butterfingers was living in my head. And I brought him back. And that is how Butterfingers got established as a character in people's imagination and in.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you very much.